Hi, I'm Chris and welcome to my YouTube channel. I do drone and tech reviews. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Mavic Air 2. Just a general disclaimer today, I wasn't paid or sponsored for any of the products or brands mentioned today. I purchased everything and just wanted to share my opinions on these products. Let's talk about the Mavic Air 2. I was primarily looking for a drone to replace my Phantom 4 Pro in the space of wedding videography. I needed something to work in relatively tight spaces. Majority of the clients that I worked with was at the hotel. I didn't need a giant bird flying around over there. Next, easily transportable. I needed something to fit along with my carry-on camera bag when I go from location to location. I need something quick and minimal setup. Had good endurance, especially dealing with the weather, high winds in some situations. And finally, I needed something with good camera quality. So let's dive into it. As mentioned, I settled with the Mavic Air 2. First is the cost. You can get this for $800. I'm gonna already recommend getting the Fly More package. No brainer. I think anything that DJI offers and have a Fly More package, you're already saving minimal between $50 to $200 depending on what product you buy. I'm pretty much paid for everything for $800 on eBay. I think you're gonna find some really good deals right now on used websites. This can shoot up to 4K 60. At 1080, it's really impressive at 240 frames per second. If you're a photographer, it shoots RAW. The JPEGs are 12 megapixels, but RAWs is 48 megapixels. And I know the file size is huge when you shoot on RAW. It's some different type of binning process. I'm not gonna jump into that because I don't know what I'm talking about. It has an 8 gigabyte built-in storage. 8 gigabytes might not be big. It'll save you in a pinch. Quoted at 34 minutes of flight time. That's a lot of flight time. More flight times means less batteries to carry. I bought an extra battery, so I have a total of 3 batteries, and most of the time I only use like a battery and a half at most. And then finally, safety. This has the front and rear sensors as well as OcuSync 2.0, so I think you get 5 miles of range out there. Yeah, let's just start flying. So I'm gonna go out to a park. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Good afternoon, YouTube. How's it going? I'm in a nice little open park. It's a nice overcast day. So we're gonna just do an initial first impressions. Behind these trees here, there's a river. There's a waterfall. It's my usual default to go to fly. All right, so the first thing I like to do when flying is I set up the launch pad. Good practice to use. All right, so here's a quick shot of the, the size. I guess when it's open and you have the phone in here, it's only slightly larger, but instead of the phone, I prefer this actually because I can just reach my finger when I'm pushing the buttons. This I gotta actually use one hand and push the stuff up the top. This actual antenna here. I'm worried about, I'm guessing the lines run through here, so I'm kind of worried about that. So if you put any initial weight on here, but it does fold up really nice. You can see folds up like this. Okay, so this is the Spark as far as the size. You can see roughly it's about an inch or two smaller, about 2 inches wider each side, but surprisingly the narrowest part is the same size. Obviously this is older, so it's lowered. I mean, it is lowered to the ground. This is obviously a scaled down Mavic Pro with other features. All right, so one of the things I personally don't like about this device, I know you can unscrew it for compactness. If you're like me, I'm pretty clumsy. So yeah, just popping these in and out. I've already dropped these a couple times. If you're out on a mountain or something, you're definitely gonna lose these. I do love the Fly More packet case. It is only a smidge bigger and heavier. This one can actually hold the charger, which I don't have in here right now, and 3 batteries, including one on itself. The Spark, you can't comfortably put the charger in here without squeezing some stuff. Overall, they're pretty much the same size. I like the case. It's nice and soft. Tips I'm gonna say right off the bat. This is where you hold the charging cable. So one hooks to the controller and one hooks to your phone. So what I recommend doing here is putting a piece of tape tab on the top to know that you're gonna put to your phone, and basically you can lift it up easier like that. I'm gonna make this bigger, duct tape or gaff tape, so it's a little bit more secure than masking tape. So yeah, you just pull this up and then you know which side all the time. What I recommend is leaving them on and actually buying some guard like I do with the DJI Spark. It's this thing right here. Basically goes on. So the DJI Spark, it's actually a wider controller, surprisingly, because this doesn't fit on here. I have some coming in that I'll leave this on 24/7. Basically, it's easier to just take this cover off. Right, because this is the size of this is between a Phantom series controller and a Spark controller, I'm actually going to recommend to actually have a lanyard on this. If you're using this for a job, I want a little bit more controllability, especially the way I hold the sticks, which is kind of like this. All right, so let's go flying. Just getting my bearing straight here. Flying with my kid today, just shooting at 1080p, nothing too I didn't want to shoot at 4K just cause, and I tend to underexpose, and it's super smooth. I'm impressed with the image so far. when I fly. Usually I'm flying at 0. Here I bumped up my exposure. Down there is a good old Hilo Bay, and I'm flying above some macadamia nut fields. So if you love mac nuts, leave a comment below. Now we're gonna go look for the river. As you can see, even at 1080, everything is relatively sharp. You can make out leaves. Unlike the original Mavic 1, it was really muddy at some places, but you can definitely look at all the rocks, the leaves. Everything here is manually exposed except for the white balance, so you can see there's some light fluctuations. Again, this is just my first flight and just getting used to it. It flies really smooth, and now we finally found the waterfalls. I just followed the river up. Yeah, it's nice and crisp. I'm not sure what the height I was flying here. Dynamic range is really good. And what I really want to test out is a zoom feature. So as you notice that there's a digital zoom now with the Mavic Air, and you can definitely tell it's digitally zoomed. There's a lot more noise, but overall acceptable. I think this is 2 times zoom, but when you go to 4 times zoom, like right now, you can definitely tell it gets kind of grainy. But overall, if you're just like wanting to look at something, I feel it's a really nice feature. In fact, it's really on par with what I've shot in the past with the Phantom 4 Pro. And again, this is just 1080 H.264 standard profile. I'm not going to be color grading any of this stuff just because I wanted to show you what's possible. Color grading isn't my thing, and that's to somebody's taste. What I wanted to just show you is just if you just expose properly, right off the bat it'll look great, and then it's up to you how you want to deal with the footage because everybody has their own taste. I've been super impressed so far, and I'm just gonna wrap up and see you guys back in the studio for some conclusions. I'm back. We flew at the park, and I hate to say it, everything works as planned. There's some new caveats. Let's just go into some pros that I found. The first one is cost. You can buy the Fly More package for under $1,000. Next is battery life. It's super impressive. 30 minutes out there, ample time to get your shots, less batteries to carry. You're much more mobile, much more lighter. Super impressive, the size and compactness. And then when I do shoot for a wedding gig or whatnot, this all fits in with the rest of my gear. I do like the fact that it's a much easier setup with the controller. Fumbling with the antennas, I like how the cord is integrated in. And image quality, I found the color is nice. Everything overall meets or exceeds the 1-inch sensor that the Phantom 4 Pro has. Now let's talk about one of the main cons I don't like is the new controller. I actually prefer the older Mavic 1, 2 series controller. I could access everything with my thumb. I didn't have to take one hand off. I have to take my hand off and it becomes a one-handed operation. My second gripe is the Fly app. I just felt like it was easier to access all of the menus, shutter, ISO, color settings, all that stuff was a lot more easier to access or move around with the Go 4 app. I found it a little bit cumbersome to dial things in, especially if you're shooting in manual mode. This is actually heavier. It could strain your hands if you're flying for quite a long time. It came with this set of ND filters, but it is absurd. And this isn't consistent with some other kits that have 8, 16, and 32 as a standard. If you guys have this, especially like the 256, maybe if you're doing really slow aerial shots. One of my biggest gripe with the DJI product is the geofencing. I live in Hilo, Hawaii. I'm already in Class D airspace. Depending on the location where you're at, you're automatically bricked. You need to learn how to unlock the geofence. I get it, it's safety, but it's overly intrusive. A couple of recommendations I have if you're gonna purchase this, definitely look into buying more controller sticks. I think they could have put in folding joysticks. When you're in a rush, you could easily misplace one of these. If you're out in the field, just save yourself some heartache and just leave the sticks on and just put a cover on there. That actually saves you more time for setup. If you're gonna be flying for a long time, you're gonna be noticing when you hold it in your hand, you'll feel the strain just because it's slightly heavier. Look at a neck strap to help alleviate the weight, and not only that, you'll be a little bit more steady controlling the device. I would highly recommend looking into the Fly More package. You come with everything you need to get started. Look into maybe purchasing one more battery. Know that it does run $100 for a spare battery. And finally, learn the DJI unlocking procedures for this device just to make sure that you don't get locked out during a gig or something like that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like, give me a thumbs up, click the subscribe button below, hit the bell. Until next time guys, fly safe, be safe, see you guys later. Mahalo.